right, Terry,
Yeah.
I'll leave it up to you. I mean, I didn't have a chance. Let me just go back to your LinkedIn profile just to see a little bit about what I can do. I'm sorry I missed your call before, Terry, but I'm happy you were able to get the link.
Me too.
Yes, for sure. So Terry is a career coach. This is going to be a January, you said it's called a January Jumpstart message.
That's right.
Why don't you take a couple minutes while I'm setting the room up just to talk a little bit about what you're going to be talking about today.
Thanks so much, Ken. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the invitation. Hi, everybody. Around this time of year, many people, myself included, tend to think about goals for the year. Some people like to set New Year's resolutions. Some don't. Some set goals, some don't. The research on goal setting actually goes back decades into the 20th century. And it's very compelling and it's very clear that success in life really does depend upon things like goals. There's other elements that go into success, but goals are definitely one of the ingredients. So how you set goals is really up to you. It's your call. But I keep an eye on the research because people are always asking, well, what else is there when it comes to goals and setting goals? And so I'm always on the lookout for any new research on that. And the most recent thinking on goals, which I'll talk about a little bit once I get into the presentation, is to make them very specific and make them very small, meaning small steps. The smaller step, the better. And if you take small steps, before you know it, you'll be at the big goal, whatever that big goal might be. The example that many people use, and I also use it, is a goal to improve your health. Many of you might be thinking about improving your health this year. I've been thinking about it for many years. And many years I set a goal to improve my health in some way. The year before last, I had a real great year as far as improving my health. I started going to the gym. I lost weight, got in really good shape. And last year, the pandemic hit. It shut down my gym and it shut down much of what I had been doing. And so I had to come up with new ways to exercise and stay in shape. And this year, I'm resetting that goal. In fact, I'm thinking about it right now. Anyway, that's just a little bit of a background on the talk that I call the January Jumpstart. And Ken, when you are ready, I'll go ahead and share my screen.
Go for it. Can you please, John, can you mute yourself? Thanks.
Okay.
Can you see the screen?
Yes.
All right, great. Let me know when I should begin and I'll go right ahead.
Whenever you're ready, whenever you're ready.
Let me turn off these subtitles. Not sure why the subtitles are on, but anyway. Well, this is January Jumpstart, 5 strategies to power your success in 2021. The strategies are probably not going to be new to anybody here on the call today. What I've tried to do is pull together a number of different things that we know based upon both our experience and research that go into achieving success. Those of you that are looking for work this year or are in some sort of a career transition, I've tailored this talk to you, though it's not only for people in those situations. It could really be for any thing you want to accomplish in your life, professionally or personally. I went ahead with my visuals, and I'm using wintertime visuals because of that nice snow we had recently. Right now, where I'm sitting in Somerset, New Jersey, the snow is pretty much all gone, but I hope I don't chill you all with these visuals that I've chosen. By the way, I'm going to make these slides available to Ken. Does that make sense, Ken, for me to share them with you?
Yes, absolutely.
And then if any of you want them, you can have them. So these two mountain climbers, one a climber, one a Sherpa, neither one of them are me, but like my colleague Hannah Morgan, the career Sherpa, I've always thought of myself also as a career Sherpa. What I do for a living is I'm an executive career transition consultant with the Ayers Group. Also, outside of work, I'm the moderator of the St. Matthias Employment Ministry at my church here in Somerset, New Jersey, which we founded in 2007. If any of you are on LinkedIn like I am, find me there and connect with me. I'd be happy to be connected. I publish content on LinkedIn all the time, as Ken knows, and I'd be more than happy to be connected with you and share my content with you and be a resource to you, perhaps in your career transition. So the jump start for 2021 is shown here. You'll notice that the first words on the left that are in bold, set, target, activity, reach, and take, spell out the word start. That's what I do in almost all my presentations. I take a word, I break it down into different points, and then those words spell out the key word of the talk. So in this talk, the key word is start. And I'm really hoping that you all get off to a good jump start this year with these ideas and others that you're going to learn from Ken in his weekly LinkedIn Lunch and Learns, or other coaches that are out there. I see Alex on the screen. I see John Sampson on the screen. There may be other career facilitators here as well. So if you're ready, I'm going to jump into these 5 ideas in some detail. And along the way, I'm going to ask for group participation using the chat function. So when I ask one of the group participation questions, I'm going to encourage you to open up the chat and just type your thoughts in. Okay, so be ready for that. We'll have a little bit of group participation. So the S in START stands for Set Smart Goals. Set SMART goals. What does that mean? Well, many of you probably know that years and years ago, somebody came up with an approach to setting goals called SMART, where the word SMART stood for 5 different ideas that contribute to setting a goal effectively. And here's the old SMART. The S stands for specific, the M for measurable, the A for attainable, the R for relevant, and the T for time bound. This old model of SMART for setting goals is perfectly fine. I would encourage you to continue using it. I think it has stood the test of time quite well. But let me offer a new version of SMART that I call SMARTS. And my new version of SMART has an extra letter, the last S. And so here's what I'm thinking of. And these are points that I discuss with my clients pretty much all the time. If you're in a job search, you're in sales and the product is you. And so it's very important to take on a sales mindset and sales skills. An effective salesperson has a strategy. And so it's really important to have a plan. So now's a good time to begin early in the year to think about your plan for the year. And part of that plan is marketing. What is your market? You need to identify the market that you're going after and develop your messaging. There's another M for the second letter of my SMARTS. So what's your message to the marketplace about who you are? A good place to start in developing that message is with a self-assessment. There are lots of great self-assessment tools around. I encourage you to go ahead and get hold of some good self-assessment material. The book, What Color is Your Parachute, is chock full of good assessment stuff. There's a website called My Next Move. That comes from the federal government. It's on the Department of Labor website, mynextmove.org. Really good. It's got a little assessment there. And it will help you to figure out a little bit more clearly, who you are, what you want to do as far as work and a career. And even if you're in your 50s or older, it's not a bad time to take some time to figure out what you want to be when you grow up. I can't tell you how many clients I have right now that I acquired last year during the pandemic that are over 50 years old that have said to me, when I asked them, what's your career goal? They've said to me, Terry, I want to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. So it's not unusual. And it's actually a very positive thing to stop and do a self-assessment. By relevance, what I'm talking about is make sure that you are relevant to the marketplace. What are the needs out there? What areas of the marketplace are shrinking or dying? And what areas of the marketplace are growing or booming? Obviously, healthcare is booming right now. You may or may not be suited to that industry, but take a look at what the needs are in the marketplace and take a look at your skill set and ask yourself, are there skills I need to acquire to increase my own relevance to the needs in today's marketplace? Which brings us to tools. There are lots of tools that are very important to a job search or a career transition. Chief among them is the topic you talk about here with Ken every week, and that's LinkedIn. I would assume that all of you here today are on LinkedIn, but the question I always ask my clients is, are you using LinkedIn? And they look at me like I have two heads. And what I mean by that is you've got to be active on LinkedIn. I'm sure Ken preaches this. You have to be active. And that means interactive with other people who are also on LinkedIn. Don't forget that LinkedIn is actually a type of social media. And that first word social means people, and it means interacting. And so every day you should be on LinkedIn, interacting with people. And that means having discussions, posting questions, answering other people's posts. If Alex posts something really good, write in a comment saying, Alex, great stuff. Thank you so much. And the LinkedIn algorithm likes that kind of activity. I think it was Ed Hahn earlier today, or maybe the other day, said that the algorithm really likes comments. So don't just click like, leave a comment. It doesn't take long, and it doesn't have to be, an essay. It could be something like, Harold, great article. Thanks so much for sharing. That's it. The algorithm likes a comment. I'll stop there. And then my last S in my version of SMARTS for 2021 is story. What's your story? You all, I don't know you all, but I'm convinced you all have a compelling story. Can you tell that story? Can you tell that story in such a way that you are memorable, you are attractive, and you are somebody that an employer wants to get to know better? So your story is made up of your accomplishments. I hope you're all working on your PAR stories or your CAR stories or your STAR stories. Whichever one of those formulas you like, it's fine with me. They're all good. PAR is problem, action, result. CAR is challenge, action, result. And STAR is situation, task, action, result. They're all good. And what they do is they help you to capture your accomplishment stories. And those accomplishment stories of yours add up to your overall story. So go into 2021 with a good, strong, interesting, compelling story. And that'll be a key part of your sales strategy and your marketing and your relevance to the marketplace. Let me stop here and ask a question. So everybody, open up your chat box, if you will. I'm going to open it up on my end. And here's the question I'd love to see you all just type in a quick answer to. Have any of you ever set SMART goals? Go ahead. Either old SMART, your own SMART, or somebody else's SMART. Whoa, look at all the yeses. Holy cow. Yes. Oh, there, I saw one no go by. Well, let me encourage you all to set SMART goals, whether it's old SMART, my SMART, your SMART, or somebody else's SMART, because really the consensus of experts in the field of goal setting is if you're not setting goals, then you're really, it's like a three-legged stool that's missing a leg. It's just going to fall over and not support what you want to do. It's very, very important to set goals. And it's okay to reset them. You can reset them. You might have had a goal from last year that wasn't accomplished. Hey, if it's still important to you, reset it for 2021. Why not? I saw a post earlier today from a friend that they recently accomplished a goal that they had set several years ago. And they were so happy that they finally accomplished it. And so I wrote a little comment back saying, good for you for not giving up on that important goal of yours. And that might be the case for some of you as well. So that was a dive into the S of START. Let's come back to START now. The T in START is for target. I'm a big believer in setting targets if you're a job hunter or a career changer, because otherwise you're just shooting, kind of willy-nilly out into the marketplace and hoping your arrow hits something. Much better to shoot at a target. You can shoot at a company. You can shoot at an industry. You can shoot at a need in the marketplace. You can shoot at a role that you're after. I've got a good friend who for a couple of years now has been pursuing a goal to get into the field of patient experience. And she's got great qualifications for it. She doesn't have a degree in any particular healthcare field, but she's got a load of years and years of experience in healthcare, but just in a non-traditional fashion. So she's shooting at a role. She's not getting the kind of traction that she wants, but every time she and I talk, I encourage her, don't give up on it. Because I think that if she were to land a role such as the one that she greatly desires, that she would be just a wonderful, wonderful success at it, and could potentially be a New York Times story about never giving up on a goal that means a great deal to you. And I think that by taking the targeted approach, you're much better off. Quick chat box question to all of you. How many of you have set targets in your job search? Yes, yes, I do. Yes, yes. Oh, wonderful. I'm preaching to the choir here. Fantastic. Fantastic. Good, good. I'm very glad to see that, because I really do think that's one of the keys. All right, so that's the T. The A in START.
I'm listening to something. What do you need?
Activity is what the A stands for. And activity means visibility. And visibility means findability. I didn't want to stretch out the verbiage on the slide too much, but you can add that in your notes on your end. Activity means visibility, which means findability. Now, if you take it back in the other direction, if you want to be found by recruiters, let's say, you've got to be visible to them. And to be visible to them, you've got to be active. So what does activity mean? I mentioned it before when I was commenting on LinkedIn. You have to be active on LinkedIn. But it's not just LinkedIn. You've also got to show up in real life. Like all of you have shown up today. There's 80 some of you here today. I applaud you. That's me clapping. I'm clapping that you all showed up here today. You have showed up and you are now visible to other people in all these little Zoom rectangles. That's great. Continue to show up. Continue to be visible. Continue to do what Charles Pixley taught us all back during the Great Recession. He said, put yourself out there. Charles Pixley was a Wall Street guy that got let go along with millions of other Americans, including me, in 2008. And he was interviewed by a local newspaper when he did something that caught their eye. He hand painted his own resume on a sandwich board, hung it over his shoulders, and stood on the corner of Wall and Broadway in New York as crowds went by him during rush hour. And so the newspaper reporter asked him, Mr. Pixley, what's your message to job seekers? And he said these three things. I call it the Pixley formula. He said, you have to believe in yourself, you have to improve yourself, and you have to put yourself out there. So putting yourself out there is greatly facilitated by LinkedIn, but it's not just LinkedIn, folks. It's really just ask yourself, what else can I do to put myself out there? You know, going to Ken's LinkedIn Lunch and Learns is great. Get visible there. There's a ton of other similar events going on in our virtual world. And then someday, maybe later this year, we'll be able to come out of our Zoom boxes and re-meet again, face-to-face, live, and continue to be active, because activity means visibility, and that means findability. The R in START is for reach out. And by reach out, I mean literally that. Reach out to people that you know, people in your network, people that might be right here in another little Zoom box. Reach out to Ken, reach out to Carol, to Alex, to John Sampson. Reach out to each other for mutual support. My colleague, Paul Sakala, says, go find a job search buddy. I love that idea. Love, love, love it. Yeah, get a job search buddy this year if you haven't tried that before. Could be somebody that's right here on this, this Zoom today, or maybe not. And I'd go even further. I recommend to my clients, form a small team, 2, 3, 4 people. It's not a new idea. It's been around a long time. I'm not even sure who first named it, but the idea is to form an accountability team. And what's an accountability team? An accountability team is a very small group, 2, 3, 4 people. Doesn't have to be any bigger than that meet on a regular basis to hold each other accountable, but to give each other inspiration and motivation, and to give each other ideas, because we might be very smart on our own, but we get a lot smarter when we're sitting there with 1, 2, or 3 other people. When you put those brains together and the brainstorming starts to happen and the synergy starts to happen, watch out. You're going to get ideas from the people you're reaching out to that could potentially lead to a breakthrough in your search this year. So reach out. I have a question for the group. Open up your chat boxes, everybody. How many of you have a job search buddy or have a small team that you meet with on a regular basis? Oh, whoa, look at all these yeses. I do. Both. Somebody said both. Holy cow. Few no's, maybe a sort of from Nancy. Working on setting up, says Frank. Very good, very good. Yes, make that part of your plan. Oh, look at that. Who was that said cohort and mastermind? Pat. Pat, could you unmute yourself for a moment and just tell us a little bit about that cohort and mastermind?
Hi, yeah, thank you. Happy New Year, everybody. Ken, this is always a beautiful place to be, so thank you. I'm getting all kinds of messages from folks. Yeah, so I'm a career transformation coach, having lost my own job enough times to realize that I couldn't find me, so I became what I couldn't find when I was in transformation. But
good for you.
Yeah, and it happened more than once. And I actually just talked to one of my clients who lost her job last night, as a matter of fact. So wow. You feel like it's only you, but it's not. Yep. And so I realized that going through it alone is really challenging. Yes. And so having a sense of belonging, a sense of community. I know that Ken and Alex and Nancy, you guys have been creating a lot of that. In my practice, we run in 90-day career accelerators. So we go through the cycle of training on all the different topics that I think create a system of how to do this. And nice. We go through it every 90 days and circle back, because interviewing this time around, people are doing written interviews, for example. And if you didn't have a cohort, you wouldn't know it if it didn't happen to you. So it's a lot of shared learning like you're doing here. And people that will hold you accountable. So I actually use a tool where every day I ping my people every morning and every end of the day. How was your day today? What's the one thing you're going to do to help move forward?
Oh, I like that. Nice.
And then we share it. So in the mastermind, you do a virtual board of directors and everybody gets seen and gets to talk. And the cohort is more like we're doing now, where you're leading the discussion and training, and then people are able to ask questions and raise their hand and stuff. So any kind of support system is good. These things work when you work them. So
absolutely,
the fact that so many people here stick with it and come week after week and month after month, this is a lifelong learning and professional development. It's not just to find a job. Ken and the group will help you shine as an expert in your industry. So when you get a job, you then negotiate better, you become a better mentor, you navigate for the long haul, not just the Band-Aid. So thank you for all that you guys are doing to share. And I hope that was helpful. If anybody's got a question, I'm going to actually be doing a free live event tonight, 7 to 8 o'clock. And I'm happy to open the door if anybody feels like they want to learn a little bit differently about that.
Oh, that's great, Pat. Thank you so much for all those comments. And how do we get that information, Pat, from you to Ken to everybody that's on this Zoom right now?
I'll put the link. It's rockonsuccess.com/3, the number 3, and then the word secret. I'll type it in.
Yeah.
Super, super. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. You guys are awesome. Thank you for what you're doing. And I love the way you're making this so easy for people to remember. That's super important. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you for noticing that. I've always done that, but now that I'm turning 66, by the way, today's my birthday, everybody.
Happy birthday. I'm going to
thank you. I'm noticing the older I get, the more I need these memory devices. Otherwise, forget it. My forgettery is much better than my memory these days. And then last but not least on the START little acronym, the T is for take charge. And by take charge, I mean quite a number of things, but I'm just going to touch on 2 things that I have in mind for take charge. And they are managing your time and building your team. When it comes to managing your time, it's so important to really manage your time based on priorities. What are your most important things? That's what MITs mean. What are your most important things? What are your most important things as far as your job search, for example? What are your most important things in terms of your family, your marriage, your personal life? What are your most important things as far as your, your whatever realm of your life you might be focused on this year? And then once you've thought about what your priorities are, then you have to schedule it. Schedule it, people, schedule it. This is a lesson I've learned over the years. And I tell you, every so often I have to kick myself in the rear end again and say, Terry, don't forget, schedule it. Because if you don't schedule it, it ain't gonna happen. And then as far as scheduling things, there are 2 things that for me are number 1 and number 2. They're neck and neck. Number 1, schedule those networking calls. Schedule them, put them into your schedule. If you were to open up your schedule for this week and look at it, would you see scheduled appointments to call people to network with them? Maybe some of you would. And maybe some of you would go, oops, I don't have any. Well, that's okay. Start scheduling them. Schedule networking calls right now. I had one the other day. It almost brought me to tears. I was so touched by what the other person was telling me. And then number 2, learning. Be sure that you are making learning a priority and that you're scheduling it, whether it's watching a YouTube video on some topic that's expanding your mind on that topic, whatever it might be, or enrolling in a course, reading a book, whatever it might be, networking and learning. You don't want to be caught flat-footed when somebody says to you, oh, you left your job back in 2020. What have you been doing since? You want to be able to say something like, I took a course in XYZ. I got certified in ABC. I engaged in self-study on a new language. I learned, beginner's Russian, whatever it might be. You decide, what's important to you in terms of your career, your life, your interests, whatever it might be sure you're learning. And those two things sometimes go together. Sometimes a networking conversation is actually a learning conversation, especially if the networking call is an informational interview where you're talking with somebody to pick their brains about their expertise. So these things quite often overlap. And then the other part of taking charge really is just an expansion of some points I made earlier about having a job search buddy or a small team. And that is, do not go it alone. People, do not go it alone. If you're in job search or career change, do not go it alone. Find that buddy, team up with others, and I strongly encourage you, get a coach. There's a ton of them out here in New Jersey. New Jersey is rich in coaches. I can't speak about other states because I'm a Jersey guy, but I tell you, we are just chock full. And there are a few of them right here on this Zoom call right now. And as somebody who has benefited greatly myself by coaches over the years, I can tell you that getting a coach can really make a great deal of difference. So that brings me to the end, and I promised myself that I wouldn't talk for more than 30 minutes or so. So let me show you my final two slides. I'm a big fan of Dr. Seuss. Maybe some of you are too. And this is a little quote from the Good Doctor that I thought I might share today. And you'll notice that there's a little snow, I think, on one of those leaves there. So it's in keeping with my snow imagery, I think. And then finally, we're all saying Happy New Year to each other, right? Well, a colleague of mine said to me the other day, this Happy New Year thing, it's fine, but I think we really ought to be saying something else to each other. And I said, what's that, Liz? And she said, what we really ought to be saying to each other is, go make it a good year. So that's my closing line, folks. Go make it a good year. Thank you so much for listening. Ken, I'm going to throw it back to you.
Sure. Thanks, Ed. Thanks. It was a great presentation, Terry. A couple of things to think about. First of all, I said this in the very beginning. I'm not going to be tagging people today in the post. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the post up tomorrow, and I'm going to, everyone here wants to be put in the post, just put a comment in the post about not so much what you thought of the event, but use the opportunity to network not just with each other, but with other people. And if you're looking to schedule a meeting, that's also a great way to do that, because everyone here should probably be thinking about having follow-up calls, whether it's with, and even if you're all in transition, you can still help and support each other. It's not about I'm working and you're not. So I know that a lot of people on the call. So I'm going to, anyone who wants to unmute themselves, go for it. And, definitely want to make this as interactive as possible.
Terry, I wondered if I could ask you a question about getting a coach, acquiring a coach, finding a coach. Any thoughts on that?
Yes, there's a ton of them out there. A good way to find a coach is to ask a coach, and you could ask Ken. Offline, off of this Zoom chat, just say, hey, Ken, can you give me 2 or 3 names that I could look into?
I would say first, what type of coach do you need? What type of coach do you need? Do you need an interview coach, someone like Alex? Do you need someone who's a coach in terms of resume review? Different coaches have different niches. So I would make sure if you talk to a coach, find out what their specialty is. I don't think any one coach can be a jack of all trades. That's just my opinion.
Great answer. And one other plug for the state of New Jersey. For those of you over 45 years old, the state of New Jersey offers something called New Start Career Network that Ken can talk about, because I think, Ken, you're connected with them better than I am.
It's for 45 and older in New Jersey. There's, in addition to New Start Career Network, there's a New Start Job Search group, and we have multiple meetings and events. I'm going to put that actually in the chat after we talk. It's only open right now to people in New Jersey, but we're hoping as an organization to get this out to other people. And I know Alex is chomping at the bits here, so you definitely want to talk about interviewing skills. Alex, go for
it. First of all, John, thanks for raising this issue about the coach topic. And please, I'm going to say something, and I want you to understand, I'm not here looking for more business. I just want to be helpful. It's only an hour ago that I updated my website. Why? Last week, I received 2 phone calls, which is very rare. 2 phone calls of young people, and when I say young, 22 to 28% perhaps. And I'm very generous with my time. I spent an hour with them, and they simply called to pick my brain. And it was my pleasure, but I cannot do this forever. So I said, what is the solution? What's my 2021 year change versus 2020? So I went on my website, and I have a tab called Services and Fees. And instead of whatever I had there, I immediately removed it, and I put up there like 12 or 13 general questions. If you intend to work with a coach, what are the questions that you want to ask? I strongly suggest you guys to go there. Take a look at it. It's landingexpert.com. These are the questions you need to ask every coach that you want to work with, and you'll get the answers. Once you finish that, I guarantee you have a good answer who is the right person for you.
Yeah,
Alex, should they make it a point to sit with you in person?
Forgive me.
Anybody who they're thinking about to coach them.
John, please forgive me. You know, I have a hearing issue. So can you say it louder?
I wondered if you had any thought about whether the folks who are looking for a coach should sit with the potential coach for whatever reason.
Are you asking how to qualify a coach?
Well, it's part of it, I would think.
Okay. Well, first of all, look, I come from a school of thought, and I don't know if I am in majority here. Every person in transition should have a coach. That's my belief. Why? Because a coach can reduce the time that you are in transition. I'm embarrassed to tell you guys, I was in transition 2.5 years, and I worked with coaches because I value it. You can do it. You know, we live in America, and you know, every time you drive a highway, you see a Lowe's or a Home Depot, and those institutions give you this feeling, well, I can be a plumber. I just go and ask the guys how to fix a faucet. Or I can be an electrician because I need to change a switch. It's the wrong attitude. Go to somebody who can help you, but qualify them. Ask them the questions that you will see on my website. There are 10, 12, 13 questions. Ask very specific questions. At the end of the day, you will make a decision. Can I afford it? Is this what you want? Are they specialized? Is there trust? Is there integrity? There are lots of questions there.
Alex, what is your website?
Landingexpert.com.
I'll put it in the chat. Well,
it's in the chat.
In the chat. I mean, I would say this, look at it this way. If you're looking for a doctor or a dentist, you're looking for referrals, you don't just pick someone out of the yellow pages or on LinkedIn. It's the same thing. You know, you want to make sure it's a good fit for you, because there are a lot of great people out there, but you want to make sure it's someone that you can work with, that resonates with you too.
But I have one question. I mean, you can talk to a number of different coaches and get an idea as to what they do. But in terms of their reputation, that's a very, very hard thing to figure out. I mean, it's not like a doctor or a lawyer that you can go to some professional organization and find out if they've ever had complaints against them or suits or, you know, Are there any other irregularities? You basically kind of have to go by gut instinct, or is there, you know, a way you can really figure some of these things out?
May I answer, Ken? May I answer?
Absolutely.
Michael, there is something called Google My Business. Actually, I was alerted to that. And in the last several days, I've been very active with that because this is one place that you can check out people. It's called Google My Business. Go there and put in the name of the business and see what other people say. That's one. The other thing is, the best place is go on LinkedIn. Find out how many people recommended the individual, and very important, how many recommendations he or she made to others. Very important. So you can find out who is the person that you want to deal with, and then make a phone call. Yesterday I did a research on a company in the coaching, resume, LinkedIn business. I just wanted to find out a little bit about that company. I was so annoyed that there is no human. There are pictures, there is information. There's nothing you can get unless you make a phone call. You know what? I was really turned off. I'm going to the website because I want to find information. It's lots of pictures and lots of young smiley people and all this. This is not what I'm looking for. I want to find out good, honest to goodness information. I don't want to make that phone call and be pushed or cajoled into having to hire someone. It's annoying, but I think this is the future of America. There are lots of big companies. There is no human to talk to. There's no human. We are moving into that arena.
Is there something you want to say, Pat?
Yeah, so Alex, layering onto what Alex just said. If you like things you hear as you go through life, when you're here, so Terrence did a great job speaking, please go to his LinkedIn and put a recommendation and thank him for what he did and what you learned, where you met, the context, where you were in your mindset or whatever, how you changed or what you learned as a result, what made you better or happier or more knowledgeable. If you make a habit of doing that a couple of times a week through life, the people, if somebody wanted to work with him or hire him as a speaker, they'd get a really good feeling because you spoke up and other people spoke up. And I promise that there's themes in those recommendations and testimonials of how people feel when they work with you or listen to you, what they learn from you. So be someone that's generous and do that for other people. And then if you're looking for a coach or an accountant or whatever, go to the LinkedIn. I have now 80 something recommendations. And one of the reasons I have that many is because if somebody says, thank you, Pat, that was great because whatever, I'll always stop and say, can you do me a favor? Would you take 2 minutes and drop that on my LinkedIn so that if somebody else ever wants to interact, they can see, they might have the same questions you do, because there's patterns over time of the energy that you bring or the gift you bring or the style, and somebody new can then get a sense of the vibe. And that I think is a good recommendation because your name and your link is connected. So if you're going to take time to recommend Ken and say how awesome he is, they're going to see Mark, your name, your picture, your experience. So you have your credential backing up that recommendations. It's not just an anonymous review. And I think that is why LinkedIn's a good place to be able to check that out.
And I also think it's important to recommend other people.
Always.
I mean, it can be a former coworker. It can be someone you're networking with, because not only is it an opportunity to sing their praises, but it's another way to reconnect with someone. If you want to reconnect with someone for a while, recommend them. I mean, I'm not saying recommend them just for sake of doing it, but if it's a coworker, it's a way to build a relationship again.
And don't be afraid because you haven't talked to them in 4, 5, 10, 15 years. There's this gene that so many of us have of, gee, what happened to the old folks we used to know? Did you see Larry who worked with us 15 years ago? All that kind of stuff. A person like that is Rob Lauda at JP Morgan, who the last time I saw him, he said, John, and make sure you keep telling people they should call up everybody they knew over 10 years ago, see what happens.
Adam Grant, if you guys follow Adam Grant from the Wall Street Journal, he's awesome. He's a workforce behavioral therapist. Yep. He's really cool. He's always got great insight and phenomenal resources. And he talks about what you just said, and I call that rocking your reconnections. It's one thing to ask, you know, Michael asked Mariola, what'd you have for dinner last night, or what'd you serve for New Year's? But how about those people 2, 5, 10 years? They are dying to hear from you. It's great to say, you know what, how's your family doing? Happy New Year. I was thinking of you. Or I just reached out to my boss from 1993 and said, Emery, Happy New Year. I always tell my clients, do once, use many, be efficient with your process. And I think of you all the time. So just wanted you to know that that had a big impact on me. And thank you. He's retired. He's not, you know, he's not looking for a new job or anything, but just to show that he touched me in a way that I've now taken his genius and shared it. He was glowing from ear to ear. So I encourage you to not be afraid. People are not going to forget who you are. You're going to get past the gatekeeper. Tell them why they helped you. Make them feel special. Remember one small thing, because people are just being kind and gracious, but wouldn't you like to hear a little something like that too? Don't be afraid. Go ahead and do it. It's a phenomenal way to grow your recommendations and get feedback on what's your genius? Why did they thank you? How did you help them? Because when people start, I would have never been a career coach if I didn't do that. I never in a million years would have thought it. So let people help you, but start by helping them.
All right, so I see a couple of people raised their hand. Leora, did you want to say something?
Yes, I wanted to know, like, what price range should we look for in a coach? And what if you're in a job club? Should you still get a coach? What are your thoughts about that?
Come on, you coaches.
All right, Linda, why don't you chime in?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would say, Nora, that there's all different price ranges for coaches, and you really have to pick what's right for your budget. I think that, as was mentioned before, there are many different coaches that have specialties. So you need to understand what you're looking for and what you can afford. In job search, sometimes the money issue is a big issue for individuals. I've already worked with individuals where I have a flexible arrangement in order for them to be able to manage their budget and still continue to work with a coach. I am a career coach. I feel very strongly that the more that you work with a career coach, the quicker you land a position. That has monetary value. In the end, you will be able to have your income restored a lot quicker with a coach. I hope that answers your question. The real answer is you need to work with a coach who is in your price range, who you can afford, who maybe can offer you some flexibility.
Good answer.
Okay, what
can I chime in on that?
Sure.
Yes, thanks.
So if you need your car repaired, you go to a specialist. If you need to something like surgery, you go to a doctor who's a specialist. That's what a career coach does. End of story.
Thanks.
Right, but in order to do that, you need to find the right specialist to work with you. I frequently need a foot doctor, and believe me, I've picked a few bloopers that have left me with a problem. So I think you need to, and we've talked about it. We've talked about you have to evaluate all aspects of what a coach offers you. Price is just one point there. Relevance is another.
You hit it absolutely the nail on the head. Alex Freund is here. He is the interview coach. Do not come to me for interview coaching. Go to Alex. He's the specialist. So he doesn't write resumes and LinkedIn profiles. I do. Other people do. So we all specialize in various things. So yes, totally agree with you.
I certainly agree that Alex has a name in terms of interviewing. But if you think that's all you can do, you're making a mistake.
That's true. He's a very talented man.
You don't want to go through this alone with whatever it is.
The other thing I'll say is the people that are going through the resume mills, if you guys know, there's, you know, some of the outplacement services you get if you got let go from your company, and they lose 3, 6, 9 months traction sometimes because they take it because it's free, but they're not really getting much attention, and they're kind of in that, and this is just people coming telling me this, they're cattle call mode, so they're one of many, and they're not getting individual attention, and then 3 and 6 and 9 months goes by, and so the career math, so what Linda said is totally true, and or Lynn, one of you, both of you, there's career math. So if you make $100,000 a year, I'm just making up a round number for the sake of argument, it costs about what, and your bonus, so maybe that's $120,000 job, plus it probably costs 30 grand for your benefits and stuff. It's probably $150,000 job. For every week you're out of work longer, it costs you about 2 grand. Rough numbers, right? $2,000. So if you're going to hire someone, make sure that the energy is good, that they're experienced with what you have. But think about if you could get a job 1 or 2 weeks faster, what is that worth to you and your family? Time is of the essence in these moments. And so you want to make sure that you're paying attention to all of it, because I see so many people that'll come back after 9 months or 6 months and say, oh, now that I got nothing done, let me start. In the meantime, I'm like, oh, that's painful to hear. So just pay attention, do the work, follow up, make sure you feel good with that person, but understand the numbers. It's not just the number you're paying out, it's the opportunity and the jobs that you're missing out on while you're running slow and trying to just go from free thing to free thing. It's hard that way.
And I would also say, be a little bit choosy also about what meetings you go to. Not that I don't want you to come to this meeting or anything like that, but you can get zoomed out very quickly. And if you go to the same meeting again and again and again, it's great to socialize and see people, but you want to manage your time that way too. So just think about that going into the meeting.
Hi there.
So my other part of the question was, how do you balance that with a job club and a work search buddy? And really for the price, what I was really looking, what was the top of the range, not like, you know, what is the most that you should pay a job coach? But if you have those other outlets, how do you balance all of that?
Same way.
I mean, I'll chime in to some of it. I'm involved in a lot of networking groups, and I've been in transition before. And the thing that has always helped me is being able to spend some time with a job search team. I mean, but it's a case sometimes of you just have a phone call every day and just check in. And it's a place to kind of a safe place where you can talk about things. In terms of the high rate for a coach, it's like anything else, it depends. It depends. I mean, people go into the hundreds, people go into the thousands, people do it by the hour. So, I mean, I think it all depends on a lot of things. If any other coaches here are comfortable with a number, go for it too.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Leora, it appears that you joined us a little later because the question was asked, you know, how to select and identify a coach. I'm going to go very quickly here for the benefit of others. What are the types of questions that you may want to inquire? I just printed it out. Should you look for recommendations before you engage a coach? Is there a free consultation available before you make the engagement? What is the cost? Is it too high or is it too low? Some people pay enormous amount of money. Some people are very inexpensive. How many sessions do you need? And how long each session? Are you asked to make payment upfront? And how? Inquire about the coach's background and years of experience. You know, being a coach is an unregulated industry. You can just declare yourself as a coach and you are a coach. You don't need any certificate. You don't need anything. Is it a set program or it is customized to your needs? Can you identify candor, honesty, or you're being treated as a transaction? Is the coach current with state-of-the-art trends and knowledge? Is coaching done in person, via phone or video? Are the days and hours flexible to meet your needs? Do you have to sign a contract? Is a coach a generalist or specializing in some aspect of career coaching? I think we have a good aggregate of good questions to ask before you make an engagement.
And I would say in open mic forums like this, you might say, you know, anybody use Alex? Let's take it offline and see what's said.
Right. By the way, I want to make sure that you understand, everybody that said anything nice today about me gets for me $10. So yeah, be aware of that.
I've been meaning to talk about how cheap you are.
Okay, yours will be even higher.
Virtual chocolates and flowers are gone by the wayside now, and I get $10.
How about a pizza pie? No.
I just wanted to my company gave me outplacement, but the level of what I'm getting isn't even up to the level in my mind what I get out of these groups. I mean,
why would you think, Michael, that we're talking about the same thing? You're talking about outplacement and we're talking about coaches.
Right.
In my humble opinion, they are not the same thing.
No, outplacement, you know, I won't name them, but I did speak with an outplacement agency who wanted to have me come aboard. They were going to offer me $37.50 an hour. And they told me that I could do, they would only contract me and pay me for an hour and a half for a resume. I cannot write a resume in an hour and a half. Generally, it takes at least 3 to 3.5 hours, but an hour of that is coaching. And it's all about analyzing the keywords and whatnot. So you get what you pay for, so to speak. So if you go with this, you know, outplacement, look at what they're paying people and that their hands are tied with the amount of time that they allow to bill per person. So I've had several people come from several outplacement agencies who, after not getting any action for several months, all of a sudden within 2 weeks, the phone call rings because something happened, because they have keywords in the right places, the right keywords in the right places on LinkedIn and whatnot. And their resumes changed, or applicant tracking system techniques, et cetera. So that's important. You know, you have to supplement for your individual needs. That's my opinion.
I was at LHH for 6 months and they never rewrote my resume. They never did any of that at all. Another question, if I'm endorsing someone, not just saying they're good at this skill, but I actually want to write something, I try to look on it, maybe because I was on LinkedIn on my phone, where would I do that so I can write something about someone?
You go to their profile and you click on the little more button and write a recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
Back a little bit, I agree with Lynn. The outplacement folks don't get the time, because it's not only the time in doing the keywords and the formatting for ATSs, but it's also what strategy do you want to use? What position do you want? Because sometimes that's not exactly clear as to what's called, because things differ from company to company and industry to industry. So you have to know what it is that you want to do and what it's called. So there's a lot, actually more background that's needed.
And a lot of times people want to reinvent and pivot. So you need to go with the keywords and whatnot in the future forward. So anyway, Kenneth, I will be back next week.
Yes,
Can't wait to hear your, yes,
Jack Kelly will be on next week. And those of you that have been following Jack Kelly, he's an absolutely great person. He was a recruiter for many years. So we will be having an interesting discussion there. And I highly recommend that. And thank you all for coming today. Connect with each other. And like I said, I'm going to post this tomorrow, a picture of the presentation. I'll tag Terrence on there as well, so you know to find him or me. And then just put a little blurb, just talk about yourselves and then connect with each other. You know, again, this is all about engagement. So wishing you all a great day. See you all next week.
I have one question. If I may.
Go ahead. What?
There were a lot of information given over on the chat. Is there any way we could go back to them?
I will save that. I save the chat every week. I save the chat every week and I put it in the meetup, and I also have a link is there to the presentation, so it's not lost.
Okay.
Do you hi there.
You can also hi.
Kenneth.
I'm still here.
Okay. Do you mind if I add something? I am a veteran, and just something to throw out there. I'm not sure if there's any other veterans out there who have served even years ago or just recent. Something that, and I totally agree with the specialist, really on board with that. One thing that I have found useful is there are warrior transition programs through the different branches. And although they tend to be